Jagan, Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling from Faculty of Education, University Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So let me welcome Dr. Madhya Jagan, and he will be taking the session further.
Okay, thank you very much, the technical committee. I'm very glad nominated as a chairperson for the parallel sessions for second day on the 6th November 2022. The area of theme is mental health and psychology for the 10th International Conference on Emotional Intelligence Management of Human Resource Information Technology, Cooperative and Positive Mental Health and the World Face in Pandemic Affected Era. 2022 up to now is an endemic. Okay, may I ask the technical committee? So this session in the hall number 1. Hello. Technical committee, can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so now without further ado, is Malaysia time is now 1:30 p.m. Yeah, so I would like to invite the first presenter under the theme mental health and psychology. The title is relation between mindfulness and the psychological distress among the young adults of Bangladesh. The moderating role of cognitive psychology, emotional regulations. So the author Munira Muhammad Kamal from the Department of Psychology, University of Dhaka. So the person is here, the presenter is here. Shall we invite the presenter for this title? Technical committee, the first presenter. Now repeating again, we would like to invite the first presenter for the parallel session 1, 11 to 12 noon. The title is a relationship between mindfulness and psychology distress among the young adults of Bangladesh. The presenters here. Okay, the first presenter is not around. We may invite, if we don't delay here, we may invite the second presenter here, Insha Rashid. Are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we proceed with the second presenter. And your title for today, the session is Development of Cognitive Dissonance Among Muslim Teenagers Due to Influence of Islamic Teachings in the Modern Secular Society. Okay, so the presenter Insha Rashid and Azma Junid from India. So we welcome you to start your session. You can slideshow now. Okay, you can upload your slide, share your slides. If you don't see your slides, can you share your slide?
Hello, sir. Good morning. Actually,
Yes.
sir, my phone is right now not working properly, so I am not able to share it. And the paper is being written by me and my co-author, Azma. She is, I do not know if she's present or not. I'll be presenting the paper and explaining it. Is it possible for me to explain it without slides?
You're unable to share the slide?
Yes, sir, I'm not.
Okay, because I
So
don't
I'll
have.
be explaining it. I can explain it,
Perhaps
and
I
I
could.
don't think so. Slide will be needed.
Okay. Did you
I might be able
share
to
your
share
slide to the
your
technical
slide.
committee? Did you email your slide to the technical committee?
I send it to Sir Max, sir. I
So
send the PDF.
the
to him.
technical committee can help the presenter to share the slide. Technical, hello, technical
I might be able
committee.
to show it, sir.
If the possible, the technical committee can share her slide. Can you trace her slide so maybe the participant can view? If still can't, then she have to just present it without slide. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. It's okay for me, and I can explain it without slide. I don't think so.
Okay, so you can start your presentation without your slide, but then in the future you you should stand by your slides. Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay,
Sure,
go ahead.
okay. Okay. So my topic is the.
Insha, I could show your paper. I don't have your slides, but I could show your paper. Would that be helpful?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, please.
Fine.
Yeah, that will be better.
Okay. One moment, please.
Yeah.
I'm not able to share my screen. Can the host allow me to share my screen? Or I can upload the slides to in the chat and someone else can share it. Here we go. Here you go. Tell me if you'd like to, if you can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Insha, you
Okay,
can
let's start.
proceed. Yes, yeah, please.
Yes, sir. So starting with the very famous tradition of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who mentioned it in his hadith that we Muslims will follow a previous nation inch by inch, cubit by cubit, and we will follow them to the point that when they will enter the lizard hole, we will also enter the lizard hole. Now, this was asked that who are these people? And they said that the previous generation who came before us, we will follow their trends and identities, and to the point that whatever they will try to make a trend, we will follow it in their way. So now coming to this part of what cognitive dissonance is, how the Muslims are affected by it, and how much we are influenced through it is all presented in this paper. What is cognitive dissonance? It's basically the mindset of a person where a person is really not functioning properly in the mindset, where he is not able to present his actions through his, he's not able to actually present the actions what he believes about. So he is mostly trying to fit in the society where he himself is not sure whether his mindset is able to accept him or not. Now, coming to the Islamic cognitive dissonance, that is being a very wide topic by G.S. Hussain, and he has described in his book Islamic Psychology, written in 2012. He described it that the Islam Muslims usually of today's youths are suffering with the cognitive dissonance because of 4 to 5 things. The first is acculturation. Acculturation is basically about that the cultures that are being mingled together through the idea of social media. We Muslims had a different identity, and the cultures of every nation is different. So trying to fit in the modern and westernized idea is making us making the youths who are having basic creed understanding of Islam, it is very difficult for them to follow these things. Second is spiritual cognitive dissonance. Spiritual cognitive dissonance is about that the Islamic idea, basic fundamental creed says that everything that we are created for, whatever the purpose of this life is, we are created for وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that we are created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all alone. But here the problem is that our modern society has told us that the meaning is not yet established, and we are trying to find it because of different mindsets and different ideologies that are being developed. For example, the modern psychology has a complete different take on how to describe, the modern psychology has a completely different mindset on whether the purpose is actually just to worship God or not. And individualistic ideas and different religions ideas are also being grasped by us. So the Muslim youth is very confused as to whether to follow the Islamic tradition that was described in the Quran and Sunnah, or whether to follow what the modern society tells us. Now, third part is the very most important part is Islamic theological and the cognitive dissonance development. Islamic theology here holds the basic creed and aqidah, that is, we worship only Allah alone, and we do not associate any partners with Him. We make prayers to Him. We are hopeful for the best for Him. But here in today's society, the Muslim, when he enters, tries to fit in the different culture, he sees that there is no such concept of God, because no one fears God. Everyone has their view of justifying their actions, their sins, and whatever is said a sin in Islam is actually very much normalized in today's society. So they are very confused as to what idea to follow. And because the transition has just started due to social media, our parents are not much aware about social media impacts, and they are not much aware about the fact that social media is influencing us in changing our ideologies to this point. So that's why the Muslim teenager usually is very much confused as to whether to follow the old traditional Islamic way that the parents are teaching them, or to follow the societal point of view through social media that we are learning about it. The person is actually becoming very less peaceful, if I should say, because the conflict in him is arising more and more. And there is no particular way where we can actually except for one-to-one client therapy, or maybe when the person finds the right person. But when a Muslim, he tries to learn something from new influencers or social media, he sees that there is a lot of mixtures and baggage of their cultural ideas in them. So Islam becomes very much mixed with them, and he is trying to focus on every aspect that he's being presented with, and this creates more confusion in his mind. Now third part comes that the cognitive dissonance development is also due to our own spiritual identity and the mistakes that we make. For example, that Islam says certain thing is not allowed in Islam and we don't need to follow it, but because to fit in the society we try to follow it, and then we see that this whole society is following, and if I'm not following it, I'll be the fool. So this is creating a different mindset in the teenage Muslim. He's confused as to whether to follow it or not to follow it. I'll be punished or not. And then a very important part also comes, that is uh, a person, a Muslim who tries to be a good Muslim from the Islamic point of view. He obeys Allah, he prays 5 times a day, he takes care of what is allowed in Islam and what is not allowed in Islam, yet he is suffering from something that is only in the hand, that is, the cure is only in the hands of Allah. So he is not able to decide whether Allah is being merciful to him or he is not being merciful to him. These kind of thoughts are really being developed in the mind, and then the person is really confused as to whether what door to knock on. So but when the Quran and Sunnah is being taught to them in a very right manner, I personally believe that the healing can be done through it only, and there will be no requirement to jump in different directions. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Baqarah chapter number 2 verse number 256 that La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. There is not a single soul that is suffering from beyond his scope. So Allah is not even punishing us or even making a trial out of us on something that we cannot bear. We are actually suffering only because we have the capability to suffer. So if we are looking up to the Quran from the right introspected mind, we will definitely find that there is no such thing, no such confusing state as the Muslims are suffering today. But because the teachers are lacking the understanding to explain mostly, we are having a doubt, and this will not only lead to cognitive dissonance, this will also lead to a more grave matter, and that is falling into anxiety, falling into depression. And Muslims sometimes leave Islam because they think that this is too tedious to handle all of this. And because the media portrayal is also very negative sometimes, it creates confusing state in the minds, and hence the Muslim suffers with his identity most of the time. This is like the gist and the idea of the entire paper.
Okay, Insha, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is when I look at it, this is just like a literature review here. This is a concept paper. Is it a concept paper or the research based?
It's a concept paper.
It's a concept paper. That's
Yes.
what I don't see your findings and the framework, methodology, and the findings, discussion, and implications. Okay. So
Okay.
anyway, this paper is still ongoing.
Yes, sir. Actually, this is my master's project, so I'm working on it.
Okay, ongoing. Still the data collection is still ongoing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So I guess there is a format. Yeah, there is a format where you should look into that. Even though it's a concept
Yes,
paper, you should have introductions, literature review,
Yes, sir.
and then you have to research objective, and then the importance of the studies, significance of the studies, the framework, and you must have the methodology. That's the things you need to park in your paper. In the future, you maybe try to construct that way so the paper look more professional. Okay.
Sure.
Anyway,
sure.
the title is very good. Yeah. Developing the cognitive is like independent variable. Yeah. Dependent variable,
Yes,
Islamic teaching, biblical teaching, Taoism,
Yes, sir.
Buddhism, so it can becomes into so many religious can come in, yeah. So that's what you
Yes,
look
sir.
into the independent variable, dependent variable. That's my small comment suggestion. That's in the future
Yes, sir.
you construct according to the format of presenting paper in the international conference or any conference in your country. You're from India.
Yes, sir.
Which university? Yeah.
Era University, Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh.
Okay. Anyway, on behalf of the organizing committee, we
Yes, sir.
congratulations and for your time for presenting this paper. Okay. Thank you very much. So
Thank you, sir.
yeah. So yes, this is the technical committee. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Isha. All right. Now we move to the second paper. Yeah, the first one is there is a no feedback. Second paper I consider is a first paper presented by Insha. So the third paper is psychological well-being and coping strategy of the forcefully displaced Myanmar citizens. So this is from Myanmar. The participant is here.
Yes, sir. I'm Mehrin Mostofa Mumu. I'm the author of this research study.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for being with us this morning. So you're doing a virtual. Are you from virtual?
I'm from Dhaka, I'm from Bangladesh.
Okay, so now we are doing a virtual, right? Online.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so so the author is Mehrin Mustafa Mumu, Muhammad
Yes.
Reza, Parvin Haq.
Reza Rabbi and Parvin Haq is our supervisor. Miss Parvin Haq.
Parvin Haq, your supervisor.
Yes.
From the Department of Educational and
Counseling Psychology. Yes.
University Dhaka. So this paper is a master's program or PhD paper?
It's my master's project. I have completed my master's, but I am trying to work on it more because it was a pilot study.
Okay.
After since I have completed the work already, I will thinking of making it longer with more participants.
Okay, Mehrin. Anyway, I'm glad you are online with us. And in the past 2017, 18, 19, I was there in Kathmandu. But then this year, of course, the pandemic and endemic, hopefully 2023 will be in physically. Yeah. So without further ado, I would like to invite you to share your slide and start going.
Okay. Can you enable me to share my slide?
Sure.
Still saying host disable participant screen sharing. Yes, now I can share. Yes. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so already thank you, sir, for letting me present my research study. The title of my study is the psychological well-being and coping strategies of the forcefully displaced Myanmar citizens, which we commonly know as Rohingya refugees or Rohingya. I am the first author of this study. Mr. Reza A. Rabbi is the second author, and Parvin Haq ma'am is our supervisor. So,
Mehrin, can you go to the slide presentation mode?
Yes.
Go to the slide presentation.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
Okay. Okay. So as you can see that we have been receiving the Rohingya refugees from 2001 or 2, but in 2011 we have seen that many of the Rohingya refugees have entered in Bangladesh legally, illegally, and as Bangladeshi citizens, this is a concern for us, and globally it's an international issue. It has come to a situation that it has drawn my personal interest to work for them, for their psychological well-being, how they are surviving, because they are the persons who have suffered through trauma, rapes, sexual abuse, killings, brutal death. They have seen their closed one die very brutally in front of their own family members. So I have thought of working with their psychological well-being and coping strategies. So these are the background. So my aim and objective of today's study is to assess the level of psychological well-being and different coping strategies, mostly adaptive and non-adaptive coping strategies. By adaptive coping strategies, I have used a scale which can assess the way the Myanmar refugees adapt with the crisis moment, how they can adapt very well, and how they can reduce the stressor. And by non-adaptive coping strategies, I address here that they are postponing or they are trying to reduce the stressful symptoms, but by reducing their stressful symptoms, they are strengthening the stressor. And also to investigate whether there is any significant relationship between the psychological well-being and coping strategy, both adaptive and non-adaptive coping strategies of them, and whether they vary according to the demographic information, whatever we have collected. Okay, my study design was cross-sectional study design. I've started taking data from 2020, from May month to 2020, June month. I have asked via a media legal source, since the refugee camp are very restricted and it's very difficult to get the access to get their information. So through legally, through a senior of our university, I have went there. I have trained 2 research assistants to get the data collection, since I don't know personally the Rohingya languages and I felt the barrier. So I've trained such 2 research assistants, though they do not have psychology background, but they understand Rohingya language very well, since they are the commoners of Cox's Bazar and Uki area. So I have trained them and they have made them understand about the questionnaires. My participants number was 44, 21 was male and 23 were female. And I have used a convenient sampling technique method. Okay, the apparatus I have used, it was developed by my own supervisor, psychological well-being scale, 72 items, 36 items were positive, 36 items were negative, which determine the positive psychological well-being factor and negative psychological well-being factor. The more the score of the scale, the more it represents the psychological well-being. The less the score, it represents the less psychological well-being. Same thing goes as adapted Bangla version of coping scale, 22 items, 13 items refer adaptive coping strategy and the other 9 items refer non-adaptive coping strategy. So as I have already mentioned that I have trained 2 of the research assistants who helped me gather the data collection, and I have in front of me some of the data were collected, but because of my study purpose I couldn't stay there for a long time. So I have trained them how to take the consent from them, since some of the ladies, some of the refugees were very scared that whatever I am going to ask, those are very personal questions, they are reluctant to open up. So when I have made them learn that how to take the consent empathetically, it's okay, it will be confidential, so they have learned that way to take the data. And statistical analysis, I've used SPSS 20 and I have used descriptive statistics. My result was, if I show that demographic profiles here, it's the percentage. So in the table 2, I can see that the maximum number of well-being, which was recorded at 201 out of 360 in maximum, and 94 was the lowest score. Same goes for adaptive coping strategy. Maximum number was 46 out of 88 highest, and 27 was the lowest score of adaptive coping strategy. And in non-adaptive coping strategy, highest score was 33 and lowest was 19. We can see the mean of the presenting factors. Also in table 3, we can see that there is no significant differences between the sex, marital status, single or married, educational level, below or primary, secondary or above, or occupational status, employed or unemployed. There was no significant differences was found between them of the psychological well-being. Again, I have worked adaptive coping strategy, and we have found no significant differences except for marital status in terms of adaptive coping strategy. The between single and married, there were significant differences found, which was 0.031. At the point of 0.031, we have found significant differences other than in terms of sex, educational level, and occupational status. There was no significant differences found between coping strategy and them, adaptive coping strategy and them. In terms of non-adaptive coping strategy, no significant differences were found between the demographic variables, sex, marital status, educational level, and occupational status. Also, I have looked for the correlationship between adaptive coping strategy and psychological well-being, and non-adaptive coping strategy and psychological well-being of the refugees. In psychological well-being and adaptive coping strategy, there was no significant correlationship found. We have found that 0.120 positive correlationship found, but that was not significant. Same goes for non-adaptive coping strategy and psychological well-being. Also, there was positive correlationship found, but it was not significant. Okay, so the limitation which I found, that the number of participants were very few, and I have a very shortage of time since it was my master's project, and going to Dhaka to Cox's Bazar every now and then was very much expensive for me, and also time consuming because I have to study for other subjects as well. Also, the research assistants which I have requested them to work for me, they were not psychology background. Whether I can train them or not, it was very few time, shortage of time. I couldn't train them very well with confidence. And also some of the responses can be biased from the participants, since there were external variables in the camps. There were other people looking in the camp that whatever we are doing, whatever we are asking, they were very curious. So I think the some of the responses can be biased on the basis of their other feelings on that moment. So the conclusion and recommendation from my ending, or our endings, I can say that since the refugees have suffered through a lot of troubles, lot of traumas, lot of psychological issues, so their mental well-being are not addressed that much well. I know that many countries have brought their help to them because in terms of food, in terms of health, but their psychological well-being, mental health help, it's very necessary to address them in terms of their level, because there is a language barrier, cultural barrier which I face, and for them, psychologists need to be trained to develop a rapport with the same level, you know, because I have felt that way, that I am from Bangladesh, they are from Myanmar, there is a gap. So how can they establish that rapport? So I felt that policymakers should take such steps to create necessary steps for their mental well-being. Also, for them, I think the way of their living, that should be addressed also, because it can be strengthened. It can strengthen their coping strategy, adaptive coping strategy, not adaptive coping strategy, which will strengthen their quality of life. And this was my research study. So thank you, sir.
Okay, Maureen, you did good studies. Okay, I guess the instrument you call apparatus.
Yes.
The terms you use apparatus more on the experimental design. Okay. So you can use the word apparatus, but for these studies is social studies, psychology studies, you can use the word instrument. Like you are using the questionnaire. You use the questionnaire.
Yeah.
With
yes, sir.
5
2 questionnaires.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. So I guess this is your pilot study here, because you written in your title it is a pilot study. Yeah. Pilot study. Yes. Pilot study. So yes. Does anyone conducted studies on this issue in Bangladesh? Not yet, sir. Not yet. So that's what I consider. This is your first time. So first pilot studies conducted and all that. And then I think you touched the design. Yes, design is good, instrument, and then the limitation, findings, and then conclusion and the recommendations. Maybe you can use the implication of the studies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can include the implication. Is this paper, are you planning to do a publication?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to.
You are trying.
Yes.
Okay, right. So are you collaborating with the other author or editor?
Yes, sir. My co-author is helping me to create a media through some of the professors where I can present my study. If they like it, they will help me to publish it since I'm very junior.
Okay, right. Okay, thanks again to Mehrin, and then co-author Muhammad Reza Parvin Haq from the Department of Educational and Counseling Psychology. Presented the paper Psychological Wellbeing Coping Strategy, Forcefully Displaced Myanmar Rohingya Refugee. Yeah? All right, so we would like to invite our inline going to be a third speaker, managing low self-esteem. Yeah, Mehrin, you can leave the session.
Yes,
or you can
yes.
leave this room. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we invite the we would like to invite the following speaker, presenter, managing low self-esteem.
Sir John's not here.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sir John is not here. All right. So shall we proceed to the next paper?
Yes.
Next paper, Muhammad Suhadul Islam. Are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You are here.
Yeah,
Just
can you
say
listen to
hi.
me, sir? Hello, sir.
Yes. So you are a Muhammad Suhadul Islam
Yes, sir.
from India. Okay.
Sir, basically, I'm from Bangladesh, currently doing my master's in Department of Psychology, Guwahati University, India.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yeah.
now congratulations, Muhammad Suhadul, for being with us. This online session presenting your paper entitled "Effect of Routine Religious Prayer in Depression Level" in the conference 10th International Conference WWA. All right. So without
Thank you
further,
very much, sir.
the time is given is actually 9 minutes, roughly 10 minutes lah. Okay. So the comments from the chairperson about 2 minutes here. All right. So the floor is yours. So you can start share your slide.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can you please enable to share my screen?
Yeah, I can share your slide.
Yeah, I can't.
You can't?
No, sir.
Your PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. I have my PowerPoint.
You unable to share?
Yes, sir. It's showing that host disabled participant screen sharing.
Technical committee, can you assist this participant? Did you send your slide to the organizing committee?
I think I did not, sir.
Okay, so in the future we should send the slide, yeah, so at least they can assist us to show the slide. Okay, technical committee.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Anyone to try?
You could possibly send your PowerPoint to in or send it to me and I can show it. Either way. Do you have their address?
Muhammad Shuhadul, can you share your or email or whatever, so we can help you to
Oh,
share?
now I can share. Now I can share, sir.
Now you can share. Okay.
Yes.
You should be. I mean, yeah.
Sir, can you?
Okay. Yes.
Can you...
Yes. We can see your slide. Okay. Proceed.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So this is Muhammad Shohadul Islam. I'm from Bangladesh, currently studying my master's in Department of Psychology, Guwahati University, India. So thank you again for inviting me in this prestigious conference. I will talk about my paper, Effect of Routine Religious Prayer in Depression Level. So let's get started. So what is depression? Depression is a clinical disorder that negatively affects the daily life activity and decrease the ability to function. What are the consequences of depression? So it actually changes in different ways, like physical changes, cognitive changes, and social changes. And these changes can lead us to make some extreme decisions, which could be even suicide. Let me share some statistics. Approximately 280 million people in the world have depression. And more than 75% of people in low and middle income countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan receive no treatment for depression. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. And in every 40 seconds, one death occurs due to suicide. And these suicides are basically led by depression. If you see in our Indian subcontinent, in 2020 in Bangladesh, more people died from suicide than from COVID-19. And in India, 1,64,033 suicides in 2021. That is 5% greater than 2020. That means in our Indian subcontinent's depression level is increasing day by day, and more suicides are happening. So how to treat depression and prevent suicide? So usually we took two measures, like we take medications from psychiatrists, we take counseling and therapies from psychologists. But as I already shown you the statistics that most of the low income countries can't afford to go to the doctors or psychologists. So we should think some alternatives too. So what could be the alternatives? It could be meditation. Because already researchers have found that meditation has positive effect on reducing depressions. And also prayer could be a very effective way to reduce or control depression. But there are very few research on prayer and depression. So let me show you some related research which is conducted between prayer and depression. In 2012, Peter and others have seen that their subjects has maintained significantly less depression and anxiety after 1 year of prayer intervention. But the problem of this research was all the subjects were females. And in 2018, in 2018, Peter and others have seen that prayer is useful in treating depression and anxiety. But again, in this research, participants was 95% female. So we can generalize and say that prayer can lead us to reduce the depression. So that's why, and another reason that I have taken this research, that there was no religious emphasis, that there was no emphasis based on religious prayer. So that's why I conducted this research, and my purpose of this research was to see if religious prayer has positive effect on reducing depression level, and to see male and female has similar effect of religious prayer on reducing depression. So my hypothesis was regular first hypothesis was regular religious prayer attendees have less depression, and 2, regular religious prayer attendees, both male and female, have positive effects on reducing depression. Sorry. So I have used a survey method, and I have collected samples based on simple random sampling techniques. So my criteria was to collect the samples was who doesn't take any medication related to depression or anxiety, or who doesn't take any meditation, therapy, or counseling, because these could affect as extraneous variables and can affect my findings of the research. So I have eliminated who have taken any medication, meditation, therapy, or counseling. So my sample size was 97. Among them, Muslim were 81.25%, Hindu 18.75%, and among them, male was 52.08%, and female was 47.92%. So I have used materials, Bengali version of Beck Depression Inventory, and personal questionnaire consists of personal data of the samples, which is related to the research. And in group A, I have chosen despite the gender. In group 1, I have taken who prays on average more 30 minutes or more a day, and in group 2, who doesn't pray regularly. And then I have seen that if there are difference in the depression level. So in group B, I have chosen based on the gender. In group 1, I have taken male who prays on average 30 minutes a day, and in group 2, male who doesn't pray regularly. And in group C, I have taken based on the gender again. In group 1, female who prays on average 30 minutes a day, and in group 2, female who doesn't pray regularly. So in the end, I have taken Z-test and T-test and Pearson correlation method to see the differences. And after the analysis, I have found that who prays regularly on average at least 30 minutes a day has significantly low depression compared to who doesn't pray regularly. And secondly, male and female both have similar positive effects on of prayer on depression. So application, we could say that we may spread awareness of positivity of the religious prayer and encourage everyone to pray regularly, so that it will lead us to live mindful lives. So, but the limitation were there. So I have done it in survey method, but if I had done it in experimental design, then it would have been more fruitful. But due to lack of funding, I couldn't have done this. And secondly, my sample was not that large. If it was a more larger sample, then it would have been more fruitful. And number 3, I have taken only Muslim and Hindu as samples. But if I had taken Christianity and Buddhism, then it would have been more generalized. So that's all. Thank you, everyone, and thank you again for letting me participate here.
Okay, thank you for Mohammad Shadul for your presentations. Okay, I just want to ask you said hypothesis. Is it hypothesis alternative or null? Which hypothesis you used? Is it hypothesis null or alternative?
Actually, it is alternative hypothesis, sir.
Is it HO or HA?
It is alternative hypothesis, sir.
Alternative. That is a HA, yeah, alternative.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, you use the instrument version to Bengali version back depression. Is that a validated and what is the reliability?
it is validated. It is validated by some researchers of Bangladesh from different universities. They have validated it.
Validated by the panel or the pilot test?
By the panel, sir. Because
panel.
yeah, yes, sir.
Panels are they in the field of psychology, psychiatrists, related to the depression, anxiety?
Yes, sir. There are 4 researchers. One is from one is psychiatrist, 2 is psychologist, and 1 is from English department.
Okay, no, maybe when you say instrument, when we take instrument, and then you must you have to name from where the sources, resources, and also validated by expert in what field. So that's very important. And then the limitation you say in the future experimental. So how are you going to conduct the experimental?
Experimental, sir, first of all, if I do experimental design, then I would have taken a large sample, for example, 100. So first of all, I would do pre-test to see if they have a significant level of depression. And in group 1, I would put, I would do in 4-group method. So in one group, I would take who have depression, very large amount of depression. In another group who doesn't have large amount of depression. In another group, I would take similar depression level, and then I will intervene with religious prayer. For example, 1 month or 2 weeks, and then I would see the differences.
So basically, the design experimental, you have to select is that a experimental and control. It's called a quasi-experiment or single subject or multi-case. What do you call experimental design? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I just a few queries I asked, and you done the Z test and T test. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, congratulations for Muhammad Shadul Islam for your it's a good title, and for presenting in this conference. Congratulations again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And then I back to the technical committee. Then you may log out from this session. Maybe you can join our session. Yeah. So we like to invite the other.
Thank you again, sir.
Yeah. Okay, the next presenter. Professor Matt.
That's
yes, Matt. I think we met in 2018, I guess. Yeah, in Kathmandu.
Right.
Okay. Now your turn. Study of anger education in Nepal. Yeah, please, Prof.
Very good. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. I have a PowerPoint. I'll go through it quickly. I know we're short on time, and I'll show the paper both. But so I'll go through the PowerPoint quickly. So this is a study of anger education in Nepal, put on by 5 of us wrote the paper together. DM, who is in charge of this conference, did the substantial amount of work on it, so he gets the most credit, in my opinion. So the background, the paper is to evaluate the effectiveness of intervention developed by Dr. Dean Van Leuven. He was the one that, if you came to the keynotes at the beginning, he was the originator of the Dean of International Peace Prize that was given out, and he was one of the founders of this conference of WWA and EQ for Peace. It's believed that the authors that targeted education regarding anger cognition will have a positive outcome on students who participate in the curriculum. In other words, emotional intelligence is teachable skill. So we brought DM and Dr. Dean brought emotional intelligence training to kids in Nepal, to 7th grade kids in Nepal. And this was approved by the Nepal Minister of Education, and the UN was involved in it as well. So we were excited about that. We had, they now have a full turnkey offering of education, emotional education, from teacher training to textbooks to pre and post testing, grading, and graduations. They've taught over 10,000 kids. This study is of 660 of those 7th graders that were tested. The originators were Dr. Rejmi, who is also involved in this conference, a wonderful man who has been working in this area for his entire life and in Nepal and has made a huge impact. Dr. Antigono Sochos from UK, who has been helpful in putting together the program itself and also to advise us on publications. Robert Ingram works with me. He's one of my main men on EQ for Peace nonprofit, and he has been doing statistical analysis and training for the U.S. Army, United States Army military for 43 years, and very helpful. This is Dr. Dean Van Leuven, who is the Dean of Peace that the award is named after, and he has written 14 books on peace, and was inspired me and many others over the years, but unfortunately he passed away. And then there's me. I've been doing this for a long time, working with emotional intelligence, and now trying to make it more official and more document it better and get it out to the world because we need it so badly. And then, of course, you probably all know DM. He's recently became PhD. We're very proud of him about that. Him and I have worked together for 2-3 years now, closely since Dean's death, and came to Nepal during the 2019 conference, stayed at his house and had a wonderful time with him, Dr. Rejmi, and many others who are there now. And I was hoping to be there. I was planning on being there, but I couldn't be there, and sad about that, but we'll move on. So here's some of the kids that we worked with. Here's the, so these are in Nepal, the actual 7th graders. Here's the curriculum that we put together. Dr. Dean, here's Dr. Dean here, and this is what the book looks like, and this is the bottom part. It was actually published by a publisher, and so and it's available in 7 different languages now, including 3 that are used in India. Here's some more wonderful kids, and here they are actually taking the assessment that we're studying. So that's about that. Now I'm going to stop sharing and reshare. I'm going to now switch over to the paper itself and briefly go through that. Give me one moment, please. Here it is, and we'll share that. So here's the 5 authors. I'm not going to go through the bios on everybody. So it was a literature review to start with that DM did most of this. It was about how anger anger in particular in the literature over the years. And let's see, I think he summed it up here. In Nepal, significant efforts have been made to build interventions toward developing emotional literacy among school-age children and adolescents. Most kids don't get emotional training, but some do, and more in Nepal than most places, it turns out. And so that's a wonderful thing. And we're trying to expand that even more. This curriculum was approved by the Minister of Education for Nepal in any public school. And so if we can get a little bit of funding to help teach train the teachers, then it's already approved, and we can teach the kids. So the Life Without Anger test was authored by Dr. Dean. It's a 25-item assessment. They asked the students to rate their anger on a 6-point Likert scale, from 1 being very little, 3 being quite angry, and 5 being cannot contain your anger when faced with difficult situations. So these kids were given a pre-test before everything started. The pre and post-tests were identical. The questions were designed to help the students understand how they respond to anger in stressful situations. They were asked to answer 25 questions, and maximum score 125. They reported having absolutely 0, 1 is no anger at all, 5 is can't control yourself. So, so here's the questions. I can provide these. I'm happy to share these afterward, but these are the actual questions, such as you are being teased by someone. 0, not angry, 1, a little angry, 2, moderately angry, etc. Up to I can't control myself. So there are 25 of those situational questions. So then this is the statistical analysis of the responses. There were 693 responses. Some of them were thrown out because they were incomplete or we couldn't match the pre and post tests. So there were 660 valid answers. We broke them down by ethnic group and by gender. And we found that we were comparing the pre-test score with the post-test score, and these show that 69% of the pre-test scores were greater than the post-test scores, which means that they were less angry after some education. Bottom line, they were less angry after some education. The interesting thing is that 28% came out higher, so they were more angry after the education, and we're not sure about that. That needs some additional study. Clearly. We then broke it down by ethnicity, which I won't go into great detail there. We did, what is interesting is students, 77% decreased their anger level within the ethnic groups. And in summary, the data indicates that the LWA, Life Without Anger is the name of the curriculum, positively influenced the level of anger of the 7th grade students. The literature review and the study indicate the lessening of the level of anger is possible through a combination of education about what anger is and what occurs behaviorally when acting out of anger. This indicates there is significant and meaningful potential for reducing the level of anger cognition through an educational curriculum that addresses the full spectrum of cognitive domain, which is thinking, feeling, and actions. All 3 are required. So such a curriculum would address the knowledge, skills, and attributes necessary to make better decisions regarding situations. We did not put in here the limitations of the study, as noticing with the other folks that we should have, that it is not a highly statistical valid test. It was 660 is probably not a very large enough sample, and it is a self-reporting test, so that means that, you know, the kids could have said, well, they're looking for less anger, so I could skew my scores pretty easily. So in that way, it was a limitation. But I think we did show that in general, the education of the kids was helpful. So, questions?
Thank you, Prof. It is a very comprehensive studies conducted in Nepal. I think the ethnic based studies also are computed here, and then I just want to see whether the educational level of the participant and also the status of socio-economy. Is that any
There's 7th graders.
Yeah, contribution for the Life Without Anger?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
No, so it's based on the gender, male and female, and also the ethnic in Nepal. And then my question is that studies conducted education level and status of socio-economy, the participants contributing towards Life Without Anger?
Was the question, was the economic level and such balanced with different kids? Was that what you're asking?
All right. So this studies is endorsed at the Ministry of Education Nepal and is ongoing. This is a curriculum.
Well, we're hoping to we were talking about it recently, so we're hoping to do 2 things. One is we want to test some more kids. And secondly, we want to test the same kids because this was done a couple years ago, and we'd like to test the same kids and see if it was a lasting effect.
Good,
But that's
excellent.
tricky, as
Yeah.
you can imagine, to try and find the same kids because they're in different schools now and they're older, etc. And that's tricky, but we're hoping to.
Okay, excellent. I mean, we hope this move into the another level, incorporated, collaborate with many stakeholders in Nepal under the government, NGOs, and non-government, and also corporate world, and also globally, especially this conference mainly supported from UK and United States, and also some from the Asian and Southeast Asia country participated here. So anyway, we also collaborating. We are already collaborated, and then like a knowledge transfer knowledge from the University Malaya, ranking #1 in Malaysia and 52 in kiosk ranking in the world. And we try to collaborate with Tribhuvan University. Memorandum of understanding agreement already done. So I guess some presenter from the University of Tribhuvan has participated. We are very glad in the future we will be doing something better for Nepal, especially Ministry of Education, other universities, especially also open University of Nepal, Prof. Stapit, Harhan Stapit, we also collaborating, and Professor Dr. Shishir Subba also we are collaborating here. So anyway, I'm glad I'm meeting all of you here. Prof, thank you very much for your paper presented. Of course, in memory, Prof. Van Dieven, yeah. So anyway, so look at our sessions. So the first presenter Insa Rashid. Second one is Mehrin. Third one is okay. Third one is not here. Muhammad Shahudul, and then last but not least from Prof. Met. So we back to the technical committee. According to here, the comment from the chairperson. Is there any chairperson physically in this conference or fully virtual? Technical committee, and also written here certificate distribution and chairperson. I mean, this was I experienced during my physically at Kathmandu for other conference 8th, 9th, 8th and 9th in Kathmandu. So for 10th, we couldn't make it. So Prof, shall we back to the technical committee? Technical committee is unmute, I guess.
Should probably stop the recording.
Okay. Okay, we back to the technical committee. The most of the paper is completed and presented, and we back to the committee. Does someone do the closing, or I do the closing?
Okay, thank you, sir. So I think the certificates will be sent via email to all the participants who have presented and participated in this session. So I think we had wonderful insights from the presentations of the 4 out of 6 papers that were presented in this session, and I heartily thank you, Dr. Jagan, for this wonderful session. So with that, I think we can conclude our session for today. So
for
is there anything
For the day 2, the session 11 to 12 is completed. Okay, so you're going to continue another session.
Thank you,
So
Dr.
we
Banja.
leave the room now. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for all the presenter.
Thank you.
Please stay healthy and all is well. Thank you for all the presenter. Thank you, Prof. See you next year in Kathmandu. Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.